time comes in a man or woman's life when things do not make sense to you. You cannot place what happened. There's just something about that season. Things are not working the way they should work. Everything is out of course. Even the little light you were seeing at the end of the tunnel, you no longer see it. Everything is just off. There is something about that period that is depressing. It leaves a huge vacuum in your heart. You cannot explain it to yourself. Even trying to explain it to people is hard. There's a time like that in everybody's life. People call it with by different names: season of dryness, wilderness period, spiritual awakening, whatever you call it doesn't necessarily matter. What should matter is the things or are the things you do while in your season. The first thing you should try not to ever do is to focus on the pain, because pain is a constant reminder or a constant path along all through that season. You should make sure you find a way not to focus on the pain, because the pain will be there. Pain should push you to learn what should be learned in that period. Pain should not be your focus. Pain has a way, when you focus on pain, it has a way of absorbing you from your environment, taking you inside of yourself. Then you become someone that is self-focused instead of looking externally and saying, what do I need to learn that I do not yet know? Because more often than not, the reason why we are or we tend to end up in such seasons in our life is because there are things we do not know. And the place you are heading to, you will require knowledge, adequate knowledge, the shift in character. The way you respond to things has to shift in a way so that when you get to that place you should get to, your promised land, you will be able to accommodate and act accordingly. So God allows us to pass through that kind of stage so that we will be able to fortify our character, grow in Him, get better, be more stable for where we are heading to. So that is not the time to focus on the pain. The pain is actually a reminder to push you. It's more like a way to make you uncomfortable and to push you towards what you should do. So the question to be asking is not, God, why me? Is, what do I need to learn? What are the things I need to learn in this season of my life that is keeping me here? What do I need to learn so that this my transition season will not pass 40 days? Just like the children of Israel, they were in the wilderness for 40 days. And from 40 days, it became 40 years because there were things they had to learn, they were not learning. Even in the 40 years, they kept on repeating the same thing, wailing in the wilderness. Oh, why me? Why that? The focus is not on the pain, but on the things you need to learn. That is when you master boring work. I call it the boring work. You master boring work. What are the boring work? The things you need to focus on. The things you need to do. When you find them, you stay on it. Leave every other thing that is out of your control. In that season, that is the wrongest period to focus on what you can't control. It will lead to depression. It will lead to so many things. Some people have really gone astray focusing on those things. When you start your entirety of your life start focusing on the things you cannot control, it leads to an unnecessary anxiety. It will dry you up from the inside out. So what do? You ask yourself, what do I need to learn that I do not yet know? When you discover those things that you feel a vacuum that needs to be filled up for the place where you're heading to, then you start to focus on those things alone. It will help you with the pain. You cannot focus on pain while you're focusing on other things. Focus on what you can control. You cannot control pain. Rejections will come in that season. You can't control the rejection. What do you control? What you can control is that when you wake up, you have the list of things you know you need to do. If that period is a period of bulking up in knowledge, you focus on the books you need to read. You focus on the things you need to do. You see? So how you overcome or strength or become strengthened in such a period is that you focus on the things you can control. You cannot control pain. You can only control showing up. People need to understand this. You need to understand this. In this season of dryness or whatever you call it, you need to focus on the things you can control. Pain cannot be controlled. They left you no problem. Focus on what you can control every day. When you focus on the day, on the responsibility of that day, the pain lessens. It means you're focusing on on the productivity, which is actually what takes you from point A, the preparation, to point B, the promised land. People that get to the promised land are those that learn what needs to be learned in the process of time. Complaining is not a strategy. You cannot complain your way from your preparation to the promised land. You need to let go of it. It is not a strategy. It doesn't work. What works is showing up. God is trying to metamorphose you from this version of yourself into a very refined version. And it has to go through pain. You have to go through pain for that to happen. Because the progenitor of every form of change is pain. You have to pass through the chaos of pain to get to another version of yourself. So stop focusing on the rejection, stop focusing on the pain. Ask yourself, what do I need to know now that I do not know?